Hello and welcome to Dreams of Wings, and welcome here to the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight at RAF Coningsby. What an absolute privilege it was to come here, and a huge thank you to Phil Hume from AuthentiKit and Corporal Ken Dowling from the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight for letting me take a look at the hangar, and also really for the purposes of this video, which is to look at the absolutely incredible simulator that they have here and how you can use the AuthentiKit designs even if you don't have a cockpit build at home. The Battle of Britain Memorial Flight is all about celebrating the achievements of the Royal Air Force and also commemorating those who made the ultimate sacrifice for their country, and also to inspire a whole new generation of aviation enthusiasts and to promote the RAF around the country. And also, I'd say quite possibly all around the world. Let's face it, most Warbird fans will have heard of the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. It is rather iconic, and it was inaugurated on the 11th of July in 1957 at RAF Biggin Hill. It was actually initially called the RAF Historic Aircraft Flight. These days, it operates 6 Spitfires, 2 Hurricanes, a Lancaster, a C-47 Dakota, and let's not forget the 2 chirpy little chipmunk aircraft, which are primarily used for training, but as a lot of people know, are great fun. And the aircraft are flown by regular RAF aircrew. If you look to the skies between May and September, that's when you'll see them. And they are quite often flown at public events, military events, state occasions, such as Trooping the Colour, and also, of course, at major air shows. And if you were at the Duxford Battle of Britain air show last year, who could forget the sight of the Lancaster flying in formation with Sally B? Absolutely beautiful. What I find really interesting about this collaboration is you have Phil from AuthentiKit, who was really brought in via the chap who really started the simulator, which was Corporal Rich Boyce. And he reached out to the AuthentiKit community because he was trying to build a simulator for the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. He reached out to the community because one of the things that's great about AuthentiKit is that they have these ready designed parts for the Spitfire. And there is the ability, because they are 3D printed and because of the way these things are put together, to come up with new components. And that's one of the things that personally I find really interesting about this, coming from a non-technical background, coming from the kind of background where you just order something from Amazon and then install it, is you're only really limited by your imagination and your ability to design the part. And what they've done is that they've taken a simulator that possibly was good enough for PR use, getting members of the public in to go into VR in the sim and experience what it's like to fly a Spitfire. But also now it's been adapted so that, for example, the aircrew can actually use it to simulate emergencies and procedures, and also potentially take a look at an area that they're going to be flying a display over, just to get a understanding, because of the fantastic graphics in MSFS, of what that area looks like and look out for the landmarks. So they've almost pre-flown it in the simulator before they actually get there. But also now the engineering teams who use it to practice starting the Spitfire as well. Wow. Just amazing. So one of the things that always hits me is just how small the cockpit is. To think those guys were going up in combat.
And if you're close, you want it's even smaller.
Yeah.
If you got this.
Of course, this isn't the simulator. This is Spitfire TE311, a Mark 16E. Wonderful to sit in a. Always great to sit in a Warbird, smell the smells, touch the controls, and figure out how you could actually get it out of the hangar without anyone spotting. But it was wonderful to sit in here. But it kind of raises the point, really. Of course, if you've got the space and you've got the technical ability, it's wonderful to have a sim cockpit where you can actually sit in there with all your controls in the right place, and it's probably as close to flying the real thing as you can possibly get. And I must admit, I always thought that's what AuthentiKit was all about. I always thought that it was about blokes who were building cockpits in their garages, with all the cowlings and the panels and all that kind of stuff, and then AuthentiKit pieces attached to the cockpit, and that's how you did it. And as much as that fascinated me, I thought, well, I'm not in a position to do that, so I never really paid it a huge amount of attention. However, I'm really pleased to say that Phil has actually opened my eyes to the possibilities of what you can actually do with AuthentiKit. You don't need to have a Spitfire cockpit in your garage. You can just attach these pieces to your desk, and that's what we're going to have a look at a little bit further on in this video, is just how versatile all these pieces can be. And the great thing about this system also is it's community driven. This isn't driven by a corporation. In fact, this is one of the reasons why you can't buy these pieces ready built, because it's really out there as freeware. So what this means is if you've got a 3D printer at home, you can download the plan and you can print it. And it's as simple as that. You're not paying anyone to do that. You obviously just have the cost of the printer yourself and the materials that you're using. And then you can buy the electrical components, the bits and pieces that you need to put in the printed parts from a company called simkitsupplies.com. Now, this is great if you've got a 3D printer. If you're like me and you are not technically minded, you just want to fly it, then there is another option in which you buy your components as you would before from SimKit Supplies. But then to get your 3D printed parts, you use CAPs, or Community Approved Print Partners. And these are set up around the world, and these are experienced AuthentiKit community members who will print the parts for you at mate rates, basically. It's a really nice system. That's what's lovely about it. It is very much about a community. It's about a community of flight sim enthusiasts coming together, using the technology and the versatility of 3D printing and saying, right, what can we make? What can we build? What can we put together? And I just find this fascinating. As I say, it's something that I didn't realize. And it certainly got me thinking about how can I incorporate into my sim onto my desk, which I also use for my day job. How can I incorporate these pieces into there? Because they are fantastic. There is no doubt about it when you're actually using them in the sim. What's also great about the system is that for peace of mind and to avoid any uncertainty, these CAPs, or community approved print partners, agree to charge according to a pricing formula, which is called the recommended selling price, which is published. So you've got that reassurance that what you're paying is a fair price for the item. So to give you an idea, we have the Spitfire Starter Kit A, which is essentially the flight stick. Now, Starter Kit means it includes the universal hub, which is the PC interface box, and you only need one of these and all the tools to assemble. This costs £146 or $146 in the US, plus postage and packing.
Yeah. What was that like, Rob?
Oh, there go again. Wonderful. The other thing to note is that you don't need any specialist tools to actually assemble these pieces. In fact, Phil describes it almost like Lego Technics or Meccano. The trim wheel, for example, is something that anybody could really put together in under 10 minutes, and that's quite incredible. And the other exciting thing is Phil is looking at a way of actually being able to supply complete kits. So that's the 3D printed parts and also the hardware all in one box, which makes it even easier. So you can see, even if you don't have a fantastic cockpit build like this one at the BBMF, there's still a way that you can get into it. But anyway, let's see Ken, the master, do his famous Derry roll.
So down the runway, approximately 200 feet. I beam the tower. 45 away from the runway heading. Pull up, feet on the horizon. Roll left, 3/4 roll, and then pull it through to come right.
What I think is really interesting here from the point of view of a home simmer is that essentially, if it's good enough for the RAF, it's certainly good enough for me. And the fact that they built this cracking cockpit using the Authenticate parts and found it so useful in that they're using it more and more and finding new ways of using it, apart from just letting the public have a go, is absolutely fantastic. And it does go to show the level that we're at now with home sims, that what we're using, the RAF can find a use for as well. I just think that's fantastic. Here, for example, the person in the instructor position can use this box to input an in-flight failure, and the pilot straight away has got a way of practicing the procedures for that particular case. And there's a great number of controls to get your mitts on in this sim. It's very tactile, and it just adds to that level of immersion. Flicking the mag switches, for example, that trim wheel is beautifully smooth, and then of course you've got the gear lever, and trust me, operating that gear lever is so much better than pressing a button. It feels great. We've also got the emergency gear hydraulics, the canopy release, the emergency canopy release. There's a whole lot of stuff going on here.
So I've just shown you the Mark 9 version of the throttle, which we've got in the simulator there. But when Airplane Heaven came out a few months later with their Mark 2, I think, or Mark 2A version of the Spitfire, we did a slightly different version of the throttle, and they helped out with the CAD for that. So similar, although it's got quite a nice, I forget what it's called now. You should tell me what it's called. Boost override. It's the boost override. So you can take the throttle to that far, and then there's mechanical action, which allows you to override the boost control, the boost limit, and get that extra bit of horsepower. So that's a sort of subtle difference on that version. And then I just brought a few things just to show you what's in there, just rather than ripping it out of the RAF, their version of it. This is a beauty. I love this one. So that's the chassis lever, which is gears. And one of the really nice things, and it's absolutely nuts, because it took me hours and hours and hours, is that you're doing this in VR, right? So the fact that as you lower the chassis, this little dial there tells you that the hydraulics are in a state of down, and they're going down and they're going down, and then when you finally get the gears fully down, then the hydraulics revert to idle.
Fantastic.
That took me forever. And I never see it because I got my VR headset on.
You did all that work.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So that's a beautiful thing to just, instead of pressing the G button, I mean, wouldn't you want to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's
the immersion in that.
So that's what that is. And then just to show you that, you know, where this is going, the point is, if you've got a few aircraft that you really love, then you've got your quick release just on the side of your desk. You've got the little arm out there, pop that off. And then, I know we haven't got a Mosquito for Microsoft Flight Simulator, but if you're flying it in DCS, and somebody's going to come out with it, and you can put this twin engine throttle, this magnificent thing here. You've got the prop control there, and the throttle levers, and the mixture, and the supercharger button. I mean, that is fabulous.
That's a piece of kit, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah. And what's great is I designed these to start with, but I have been creating a bit of a design standard and creating these little reusable modules, like a thing to do an axis. So anybody making new stuff doesn't have to go through all of that. They can just go, right, what's the shape of the lever?
Yeah.
What's the size of the box? So someone else made that, just reusing all these controls that I made. So that's the community making stuff, which is fantastic.
And that's the exciting thing. The community is taking this on and it's developing it into something a lot bigger.
Absolutely.
Great to see.
Absolutely.
It really is.
That has been seen by a Mosquito pilot who was in the first raid of the Peenemünde mission.
Oh wow!
Who declared it very impressive.
That's good.
So
that's good.
So yeah, that was an honor.
Indeed.
That was an honor. We saw him about a year and a half ago at one of the events here.
That's great.
And a little sneak preview for this, which no one else has seen yet, is because it's not all about warbirds. This is the thing I was mentioning. This is from the CAD that A2A gave me, so that we could create a PA-24 Comanche throttle, TPM throttle, and the ignition and the mags and the gear, 3-position gear.
And that's really interesting because obviously with the with a lot of controllers, you've just got 2 position, but because the Comanche's got 3, you've now got the ability to properly simulate that in your controller.
That's right.
That's great.
And again, that's a reusable thing I've put in there. I call it a MkIXc. It's like a multi-click thing. So however many you need. So with the tiniest change, it could be a 2 position.
Yeah.
And the very same thing that's in there, in a slightly bigger version, is in the P51 pedestal, which has got 7 positions of flat lever, and it's the same thing. So again, you, rather than have to create, creative new ways to make a thing, there's really only a few types of action. You've got clicky actions, you've got push-pull, which has got that damping that you liked on the primer we just did. Yeah, have a push of that. Tell me what you think of that action.
Okay. Oh yeah. That's sort of
feels like you're really pushing this. It's so mechanical, doesn't it?
Do you know what the thing is? Straight away, you feel you could be. It's precise. You can feel that you kind of imagine yourself using it. You would have that precise control over it. It's not going to slip and slide. It's going to be exactly where you left it.
Push it where you want it. You're not going to shoot. It's just going to be right. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So we've got that's that same hydraulic damping, which is what's in those things. It's on all 3 of those. And after a bit of feedback from people, I'm going to have the option on the side here, which is the carb control, carb heat.
Okay.
And then a primer pump as well. They'll go on the side there.
Fantastic.
And that'll be a great unit. And you've got the parking brake. Nice action on that.
Got everything.
So that's Authenticate, and it can go in one of those, or it can just go on your desk. And you can just take it off in 5 minutes and put it away, stick it in a cupboard, or put it back on your desk.
That's the amazing thing.
That's the point. It's not for the kind of DIY concrete builder who loves to get his soldering iron out and get drilling things.
Which is what I didn't quite realise until I saw some videos, which I will link in the video, where you've actually set these up on a normal desk using the brackets and everything. It's quite incredible how versatile it is. I always thought you had to do a proper cockpit build and have something like that set up for it, but actually no, you can just put it on a normal desk.
In fact, I remember now, there's another thing I've got, which is
this is fantastic.
A lot of people just talk about having a nice trim wheel, just a nice smooth running trim wheel. So I'm going to redo the thing that's in there, which is kind of 2-part, and you've got the issue about how to get the relative positions and fix them both to a single thing, which I'm just about finishing. Which, if you just fit that right, those are the right relative positions for the elevator trim and the rudder bias. You've got the genuine design of control. Actually, for other aircraft as well, people would just find a rudder trim and an elevator trim, just having access to those really easy. That's a really simple thing. You could genuinely assemble that from the bits in about 10 minutes. And we've done it. We did a video. I can send you a link. I said, let's put together a trim wheel competition, and a fella did it in 7 minutes.
That's amazing. And again, it's a nice trim wheel, and I know it's something that you've got the trim wheel on the Bravo, but a lot of people kind of miss a proper trim wheel.
Well, this is calibratable as well. We've made a piece of software that runs with it. And you say, well, on the Spitfire, it's 720 degrees, so 2 rotations to go from neutral to full down or full up on the trim.
That's right,
You can use that software and just set this to do exactly that.
That's great.
And then if you're in a different aircraft and it's like, 1 full turn, you can just tweak the software.
You can vary it. Brilliant.
So, the exciting thing about this is the final piece of the jigsaw, in my opinion, because when the primer's in, we can do everything to do an engine start without using the mouse. We've got the fuel boost mapped, although we've got it unplugged at the moment. We've got the mags in. Those are real mags here, but we do have mags, Authenticate mags, that are fully functional and identical. We've got the start and the boost working. We've got the fuel cock there. And then when we fit this tomorrow, and all of this as well, you can just run on your own, the setup you got on your desk at home, will be the final piece. We've got the mapping of the unscrewing action, because MSFS does map that, so I think it's about 3 turns. And then we've got the mapping of the priming action, and so we can give it whatever it is, 5 primes, and then screw it in again, and that will mount here. And then we'll be able to hit the boost. We've got the mags on, and we should have a full engine start, and that is the plan for tomorrow, to get all that working.
So the time has finally come for me to strap on the VR goggles and give this sim a go. Cannot wait.
I love how with the sound, you've got the vibration set up as well.
That's because the sub is underneath your arse.
That's brilliant. That is great.
What's incredible about this, and I can't really get across in the video, is just what a difference you have controlling using the spade grip. It is so sensitive. In fact, it took me by surprise on takeoff because I was using muscle memory from my stick I have at home, and I wasn't quite ready for the amount of throw and fine detail you can have in it.
Right. You're going to talk us through your daring turn?
Oh yeah. I'm going the wrong way. Am I going the wrong way for that?
Either way.
Okay, let me come back round again. Broken it.
I know, you're in. No, you're scoring points. Did he pull it?
Lovely. There's something very kind of immersive about it. Right, where's that? There it is. Okay.
So you want to push your company fully forward now. Use the tool of the engine. So she'll find with the one sort of pause.
very tactile, isn't it? My God, where is this? That is stunning. Do you know, it doesn't matter how many times you do it in Pancake or even in VR. To do it in VR in a actual cockpit with a spade grip, with that kind of sensitivity, just stunning. You guys have done an amazing job.
Well, yes.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful.
Don't keep telling me
Well, thank you.
that.
So there we are. What an experience, what an evening, and a huge thanks again to Phil for inviting me along to have a look behind the scenes at this great simulator. The main things that I came away with really is that the quality is really good. It's good enough for the RAF, it's good enough for me as far as I'm concerned, but also it's affordable and it's practical to use at home. The components, we're using hall sensors, sealed bearings, hydraulic damping, it's all there, and it's all really easy to build it. You don't have to have special tools or anything like that. You can put it together nice and easy. So therefore, for someone who wants to clamp something to a desk rather than build a full-scale replica of a cockpit, it's there for you. It's absolutely great. 3D printers are cheap and reliable, much easier to get hold of these days, but again, if you don't have that, it doesn't mean you have to miss out. Because of the cap scheme and also the units that are be coming through with all the components in one kit, again, it's made it so much easier. Really interesting way of doing it. I have to come back to the trim wheel. Now, the trim wheel I thought was fantastic. It had a really nice feel. It was a lot quicker to use than my standard trim wheel, and that's really down to how they've set it up. As Phil explained in the video, they've got this free software called the AuthentiKit tuning app, and that basically is tweaking the encoder configuration to generate 48 pulses per revolution, so that they can detect movements as small as 7.5 degrees of rotation, and then the software reads the clicks and converts them to a virtual axis, and it uses a 0 to 100% axis as a Microsoft Flight Sim input instead of clicks. And it really does feel amazing. It's kind of the trim wheel that we want it to be, and in the Spit it's fantastic, but as he said, you could use it for other simulators as well. Anyway, it was hugely fun coming here. I hope this video has been useful to you. I'm going to bang a load of links down below for videos and information that you can look at to learn more about this. But yeah, what a trip. Anyway, I look forward to seeing you on the channel again soon. Take care now. Bye bye.